All right, this was a busy weekend for the comic book space. San Diego Comic Con was going on. That is the con of cons. I believe that was the Comic Con that started it all in the 70s. So, this is where all of the big studios go to make their big announcements. And man, I got to admit, I thought DC was going to be the one coming out swinging during San Diego Comic Con, and it seems like Marvel just outshadowed them. Now, there's something going on at Marvel that there's a lot of debate over. People don't know how to feel. Some people are excited. Some people are not excited. You know, there's across the spectrum, there's different things going on. So I'm going to share my thoughts on this issue. I think, to me personally, this is what all of this is pointing to. And I believe I said this a few days ago. I think there's somebody at Marvel that realizes we have slighted the fans. We have to give the fans something. We have to, and I think it's beyond just throwing the fans a bone. Watching the success of Deadpool and Wolverine, which we'll get to that, get to those numbers, and seeing just how impactful that movie was and how people went out to see that in droves, I think Marvel got the message. Now, businesses are just like some major governments. It's sometimes easy to turn that ship around immediately, and sometimes it's a slow roll. There's decisions that have to be made behind the scenes. Investors have to talk with CEOs and CTOs, and a lot of things have to get put in motion. And the problems that we see at a lot of these companies, Marvel, DC, entertainment companies, didn't happen overnight. And I don't think it'll be fixed overnight. I know that's what some believe, that you can just wave a magic wand, make a decision, and these things can be fixed. And no, don't get me wrong. I think they can be fixed relatively quickly, but I don't see those fixes happening overnight. I think it's going to take some time, because I think even these companies understand you're not just going to get fans back right away. It has to be a course correct over time. And I'm not convinced that the course correct will happen, but I believe we have evidence that it's a good probability that it is happening. And of course, there's some things going on that people don't like as well. I just found out yesterday that the Penguin in the new Batman the Cape Crusader cartoon will be a woman. Now, I never really understood the need to race and or gender swap a character. I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but here's my issue. If you believe, if I'm a comic creator, if I'm either a writer or an artist, and I believe there needs to be more representation, which I think, I don't know if that's really as much of an issue as they make it out to be. Anyway, I digress. If I believe there needs to be more representation, then I'm just going to create a new character. I'm not going to take characters that people know and love and change these characters. Some people have been following these characters for 40 years. So to just slight the fans and decide, yeah, that character you've been following, forget everything you know, I'm just going to throw that out the window and change it. If you feel like, in my humble opinion, if they felt like Batman needed a female villain, they could have just created a new female villain for the animated series and called it that. There's plenty female villains that are out there in the DC sphere that are well suited to go up against Batman. Poison Ivy being one of them I can think of right out the gate. Harley Quinn being another one. I mean, you didn't have to change the Penguin, so I'm disappointed in that. I don't know. I was excited about this cartoon, but I don't know how good it's gonna be with that in mind. Now, again, I always say I try not to make this channel about things that I hate. I try to focus on things I love, but I'm also not gonna play dumb and naive like I don't realize what's going on. So Marvel gets to Hall H. I've never been to San Diego Comic-Con. I was going to go a couple years ago, and getting to San Diego Comic-Con, getting tickets, that's a whole nother ordeal. I may do a video about that at some point in the future, but after that whole ordeal, I just decided, you know what? I'm not even going to bother. I'm not getting into all of that. Anyway, I'm going to get to this. I'm going to go to Twitter, go to Nerdrotic's Twitter page, and he posted a video of what Marvel announced about Doctor Doom. And I'm going to share my thoughts on this. I'm sure you have already seen this video. I love the excitement that you hear from the fans in this video, so you can watch it again with me.
Possibilities in the Marvel multi-universe. We give you the one person who could play Victor.
They went nuts too. My Twitter feed was going crazy, or my X feed. Keep calling it Twitter. Now, I see a lot of people making a lot of comments about this. It is different people feel differently about it. You can look through the comments. Let's see. One guy says, I'm very confused. Brocus, the Viking orc. I'm not really confused about this. One person says, I kind of hate this. I don't hate it. Ugh, pass. Terrible. My honest reaction. Hollywood is so lame. Wow, that's a Marvel Hail Mary that I didn't see coming. That's true. This is a Marvel Hail Mary. I have different thoughts on this than a lot of people, but like I said, I'll share those. So he's a multiverse character. Whatever. Now, when they announced it, they said Victor Von Doom. I think some people are under the impression that Tony Stark is going to be Doctor Doom, and I do not believe that's the case. This is Victor Von Doom. He is playing Victor Von Doom. Somebody brought this up. I'm not the first person to bring this up. Chris Evans played the Human Torch before he ever played Captain America, and then he was cast as Captain America. Nobody really had a problem with that. I didn't have an issue with it. And I think we have to realize there's only so many actors in Hollywood, right? Like, it's not like there's millions of actors. Now, could they have gotten some no-name actor to play Doctor Doom? Yes, they could have. But I'm going to tell you why I believe Disney did this. And this is part of what I said a few days ago. If you watch the Joe Rogan interview with Robert Downey Jr., you would understand, again, this is just my opinion. This is not dogmatic. I'm not saying what I'm telling you is definitely 100% true. It is my opinion that Robert Downey Jr. is not going to play in a movie that Marvel doesn't do right. If there's too many agendas being pushed, if it's not focusing on the story, I just don't think he's going to be in it. Again, go watch the Joe Rogan interview that he did with Robert Downey Jr. And that's the impression I get. So this is what I think. I think Marvel is throwing an olive branch to the fans. I think Marvel is saying this is not just a Hail Mary. This is the white flag. They're saying, we heard you. We tried some things. We catered to people who are not necessarily comic book fans, and it did not work out for us. We're going under fast, and we're bleeding money, and we're destroying franchises. Please take this olive branch as we make an attempt to fix this. Does that mean they're going to fix it overnight? Does that mean it's actually going to get fixed? Maybe this isn't an olive branch. I'm not all knowing. I'm just taking guesses based on what I've seen. But I do believe it is. I think when you couple, look, the message that Disney got from Deadpool and Wolverine is a very clear message. As a matter of fact, let's go look at that. You look at Deadpool and Wolverine, we're on Box Office Mojo, and I said this movie might break the 200 million domestically, and it did 205 million opening weekend. I believe that set a record for a rated R movie, if I'm not mistaken. 233 million internationally for a collective $438 million opening weekend. When you couple that with the praises this movie is getting, not everybody loves the movie. There's people who don't like it, and it's not the greatest movie ever, but it's an enjoyable movie. This just shows you how far we've come, that an enjoyable movie, it's just that an enjoyable movie does this good because the fans are just asking for enjoyment. Don't push an agenda. Don't shove things down my throat that I don't really care about. Don't destroy characters that I love. Just create a movie based on the characters that I love. Make the movie good. Give me something I can watch and enjoy and recognize. When you see a character you're familiar with and you don't recognize what's going on screen, yo, that could be disheartening. That like it can enrage you actually. These are characters you followed for years, and I'm saying that Marvel, they're getting the message. I believe even before Deadpool and Wolverine was released, they were getting the message. And this is their olive branch. This is them saying, okay, we're going to course correct. We've been going in the wrong direction. Now take that with a grain of salt. Maybe we see this next group of movies coming up and it's like, yeah, this is trash. This is really not good. I don't think that's the case. And the reason I don't think that's the case, now we can get into the reasons why Marvel and Disney in general has been going downhill. You can bring up DEI, for those who are not familiar, diversity, equity, and inclusion, that prioritizes diversity over talent. Like, look, if you get diverse talent, that's great. But when I'm looking at comic books, entertainment, geekdom in general, I'm just looking for talented people to make things I enjoy. Whether it's a diverse group of people or not, I'm going to be honest with you, for me, that's irrelevant. I just want it to be qualified people who can make things that I enjoy and that don't suck. That's the bottom line. Just make it so it doesn't suck. If it doesn't suck, I'm good. You got me and I'm locked in. And I think Marvel's getting this message. Why they were bleeding, why they have been bleeding money for so long, why Disney has been doing the things that they've been doing. You see some areas of course correction. Look at the Snow White movie that was going to come out. I don't know if they're actually going to release that Snow White movie. Maybe they do release it, but there was such a huge backlash that you don't really hear anything about that anymore, like at all. That thing just, it's almost like it just disappeared. I haven't heard a peep about that movie. And I think the reason you haven't heard a peep about that movie, Disney got the message. They knew if we release this, we're going to bleed money, which we already have, and it's going to do nothing for us. It's going to lose us more favor with the fans. And I think a lot of people looking at this Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom, and there's a lot of people are saying, I don't care. I was watching Geeks and Gamers, and he was like, I don't care. Whatever. People are done with Marvel. Marvel has lost a lot of people. Now, I believe they can win some of these people back, but it's going to take consistency. They're going to have to show and prove now. Lip service is not going to do it. Announcing Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom, as of right now, is lip service. Now, if they actually put out, it's like, okay, your actions are now matching your words. We got the lip service. You threw up the red flag. You offered us an olive branch, and you actually delivered. If they do that consistently, I think we'll actually be in a good position. And I think this is what they are attempting to do. And there's just a lot of hate. A lot of people are just not biting at all. A lot of people are under the impression, like I said, that it's going to be Tony Stark playing Doctor Doom. I don't think that's what it is. I think they just literally cast him as Victor Von Doom. I think that's a good choice. I think this might work. We're going to see. I'm not going to jump out the window and say it's definitely going to work. It's going to be all good. We just don't know. I wanted to go to this article. This is actually an article from IGN.com talking about this. This says Marvel had huge Doctor Doom news at Comic-Con, but it was somehow still a letdown. It says last year's San Diego Comic-Con was kind of a weird one because of the Hollywood strikes that were going on at the time. So it wasn't necessarily a surprise that Marvel Studios only had one real reveal at that show. It was a trailer for the Marvels, which, that didn't really go over well. That was one of those movies. To me, the Marvels was one of those movies that really didn't need to be created. And so I can personally, I didn't see anybody being interested in that. But now that's not always the case, right? I didn't think people were going to be interested in Guardians of the Galaxy. The Guardians of the Galaxy, in my humble opinion, has always been, up to the point that movie came out, like a C-list or B-list comic book at that. It wasn't something people really checked for like that. You might disagree with me, but look, when I was growing up and we were reading comic books, there wasn't anybody talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. Even up to the point when that movie came out, there was nobody that I know. Now, this doesn't mean there wasn't people who were fans and there wasn't discussions, but it wasn't like people, no matter where you go, you're going to hear people talking about X-Men, Superman, Batman, Justice League, Spider-Man. There's just certain characters that people are genuinely interested in and you're going to hear about a lot. And I don't believe Guardians of the Galaxy was in that camp. And yet the movie turned out spectacular. So sometimes we all might think, oh, this movie won't make it, and it does. But it just turns out that the Marvels was not that way. People weren't really interested in the Marvels. And I think Brie Larson, for whatever reason, she set people off. People don't really like her personality, and that may have a lot to do with why that movie just did not do well. Okay, but going into this weekend's show, the general consensus among fans and industry onlookers was that surely Kevin Feige would be making some big announcements, not just after A Quiet 2023, but also because of the increasing chatter about MCU losing its groove. And look, it's not just chatter. We all know that the MCU has lost its way. Marvel has not been giving us the things that we want to see. Okay, it goes on to say, and Feige did have one huge reveal in store for us at Hall H on Saturday night. Robert Downey Jr. is returning to the MCU not as Tony Stark Iron Man, but rather as the highly anticipated villain Doctor Doom, and will be the centerpiece of the next Avengers movie, Avengers Doomsday, the sequel formerly known as Avengers the Kang Dynasty. Okay, cool, I guess. And I think that's kind of the attitude that most people have. Like, all right, cool, I guess. But okay, again, this is just my humble opinion. I think the reason most people have that mentality is because they're missing the greater point. And the greater point is Marvel's just thrown up the red flag. They've just thrown in the towel and they said, fans, you win. We tried to do all of these things that did not work, that you did not enjoy, and we got nothing from this. So you win. We give in, you win, and we will, to prove you won, we will throw you a bone and we will cast Robert Downey Jr. as Victor Von Doom. Yo, that's a good casting, especially he's aged. His face looks different than he did when he was younger. I can't remember when exactly the first Iron Man came out, but it was years ago. He looks much different. And to be quite honest with you, looking at his face when he removed that mask on stage, I was like, yo, I can see him playing a very good Victor Von Doom, going from playing the ultimate good guy making the ultimate sacrifice to now the same actor is playing Victor Von Doom. I like it. And I can't this is yeah, so this is what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to Deadpool interacting with Victor Von Doom and making a comment about Robert Downey Jr. playing both characters, playing him and Iron Man. I'm looking forward to that because you know they got to throw that in there. In my humble opinion, they can't do this without throwing that in there. But look, to me, this is a good thing. This is a good thing, or let's say it can be a good thing, but let's give Marvel the opportunity to dig themselves out of this hole. As I said before, I'm not one of these that wants Marvel and or DC to collapse. To me, these are iconic American entertainment companies, part of the American mythos, and I don't want to see them fail. Now, look, if they fail because they don't give fans what they want, so be it. I mean, companies fail every day. So another thing I wanted to look at, the pre-order campaign for Gooding has wrapped up and it sold 9,981 books, just shy of 10,000 books. And I think it was what, 36 days or 39 days? 39 days, a month, and a month, 10,000 books. That is insane. That is really insane. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen with this book and where this character is going to go. You know, I've been thinking about this more and more, and I don't know if this is just me. It might just be me. I know the Bloodruth character is coming up. Now, I don't know where exactly they're going with the Bloodruth character. From what I hear, it's going to be more horror based, which is not really my cup of tea. That may be the first Rippaverse book that's just not my thing. I'm not really into horror too much, especially if it ventures into the occult. Look, I know the occult is a thing. I'm not a prude about these things. I live on a planet Earth. I understand things exist, but like I said, the horror genre is just not really my thing. I'll see what the feel is when they really start, talking more about that book and launching it. But that's one that as of right now I'm not really looking forward to. But Gooding definitely has my attention. So what do you think about this Robert Downey Jr. news? I think it's good news. I think people may not be looking at this with the proper lens.